Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to week number 7. Now, this week we're going to be discussing recovery and stretching. And recovery is one of the very important aspects of health, sleep, letting the body recover. Because if it's not recovering, it's going to really struggle to make the important changes that we're trying to make. Now, this recovery includes, physical steps. Like I mentioned earlier, there's sleep, that's a huge one, making sure you're eating good food, some sort of physical activity, movement, but it also requires the mental recovery. And sometimes the mental recovery is as simple as, taking an extra day off work, letting yourself kind of relax, get away from the stress. But that's not always going to be enough. Which is one of the reasons why we've added in the daily journaling, the daily affirmations. These are very important but simple steps that we can do to help the mind recover, have a more positive reinforcement. Now, we're going to touch back on the mental side a little bit later in the video, but right now I really want to jump into stretching. Stretching is not only a very important way that we can help the body both recover and avoid injury, but it is also something that is pretty simple and easy to add in. When working out and doing physical activity, stretching is going to be the number one way to both improve the effectiveness of that activity, but more importantly, it's going to help us avoid injury. When we do some kind of stretching before a workout, it can help loosen up the muscles as well as the tendons, ligaments, so that these movements, there's going to be better blood flow. Again, this is helping the muscles work more effectively, but it's also going to lower the risk of injury. Stretching after a physical activity can lower the amount of soreness from a training session by helping the blood flow, moving through the body, help get that lactic acid around, and help keeping that lactic acid from just sitting and building up. But stretching is, not only going to be important for activities like working out and training. There's also a huge amount of positive effects on our actual health. Stretching specifically in the lower body is going to be a huge decrease in the risk of thrombosis, varicose veins, things like that. And for those who don't know what thrombosis means, essentially that's just a term used for blood clotting or a local coagulation in the circulatory system. And when we stretch, it allows the body to kind of naturally resolve and break these clots up before they become a problem. Now, I'm obviously not saying this is a cure-all by any means. Thrombosis is obviously heavily affected, by things like family history, genetics, but stretching is a very easy and simple way that we can kind of help combat that and take a little bit of control back in our hands. Stretching can also help improve our balance and our body's ability to negate muscular imbalances. Often for those who don't stretch or improve their flexibility, muscles and tendons are going to tighten around the body and can cause some pretty serious issues. For myself, I personally struggled doing my stretches as much as I should be. Just ask my wife. She can attest that she's been strongly encouraging me for over 6 years now to do better with the stretching. And unfortunately, I didn't listen to her for a long time, and it set me back. I think there's things that I'm paying for now. If you're weight training seriously, this is going to be more exaggerated because you're putting on more muscle, and the more muscle you put on, it's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. But either way, neglecting to work on our balance and flexibility is going to hurt us. Things that I personally struggle with now because I neglected the stretching in my past, my upper back and chest muscles, they've become so tight that they've actually pulled rib heads out of place and caused a couple of nerve issues. And now that I've gotten to the point where it's already kind of far gone, it is going to take me a whole lot more work just to get back to a healthy level. Whereas if I had just jumped on it at the beginning and actually done it before I started building this extra muscle, it would have made things a whole lot easier and less painful for me. So for you, I hope that you're not in a place where you're having to backtrack like I was. Hopefully you're a lot more limber and loose. And when we're adding the stretching in right now, it's just going to increase that flexibility and stability. But even if you are a bit farther gone like me, we're going to work on that together to hopefully get us back to a point where our bodies can work towards, a healthier and lower pain, less painful level, I guess I should say. Now, we're going to be adding in stretching each day. The habit this week is to add in a minimum of 5 minutes of stretching each day. Now, you can choose if you want to do this in the morning, right when you wake up or right before you go to bed. Those are the 2 times I personally like to do mine because, if I'm waking up, it just kind of helps me get jump started for the day, get things started, or if I'm doing it right before bed, just relaxes, loosens everything up. But you can do whenever you want. You can do it right before you walk or literally whatever works best. In the email that I'm going to send post video, I'm going to add in, like the one with all the check-in forms, things like that. I'm going to add in some YouTube video links for different stretching routines. Now, you can choose any of them that you want, or you can go on and find your own. My main suggestion is that you focus, your time stretching on areas that you're going to be feeling extra tight or painful. Like for me, like I mentioned, I'm going to be focusing mostly on my upper chest and my upper back, trying to help loosen those things up that are just extremely tight for me. If there of all the videos that you see that I put in there, if it doesn't, hit something specific you need, like maybe you need more on the hip or the knee or whatever it is, then just reach out to me and I can help you find one that's going to be kind of a good match. Now, for the mental recovery, there are a lot of methods here. We've already begun using the daily journaling, the affirmations to kind of create a more positive light on yourself, building up your own confidence, self-love, things like that. And this is going to be huge to being able to have a better opinion of yourself. And the simplicity of just speaking and writing about your own good traits is going to help create a situation where you truly start to believe it. Now, the more that you love yourself, the easier your mind will feel. You're going to be more at ease. And there are other things that we can add in that kind of going to help that. Meditation is a huge one. Being able to utilize the growth mindset that we talked about already, that's going to be huge. The other thing I really want to add in this week is one meditation session at minimum. Now, this is going to be a bit different than a normal meditation session. I want you to essentially do with what we did with our weekly journaling assignment. Set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes, at least 5, but if you have a little more time, 10 would be great. And just sit in silence, no distraction, no music, no phones, no talking to others, just sit in silence. And in your head, I want you to go through the same exercise that we did the other day. Think of a moment or a time in your life that may have felt, negative at the time, something that you may have at one point considered a failure, right? And sometimes, and I want you to do what we did earlier, where you're just going to be thinking about it from a more positive outcome or from a positive view. And sometimes the positive outcomes will just be, small in comparison to the pain, whether it's, a lesson learned, something not to do next time. But when we're focusing on the negative, but turning it in a more positive way, this is going to help our entire, mindset turn more towards that positive side. So in recap, the 2 things that we're going to be adding this week: every single day, a minimum of 5 minutes of stretching. Again, you can do any routine you want. Look through the videos that I send. I'm going to kind of mark, some of them are going to be for shoulders, hips, back, thing like that. The other thing we're going to be adding in is 1 5-minute meditation session a week. You can do these more often if you feel good or you feel like you get a lot out of them, but at least one meditation session, kind of like that growth mindset, focusing on a negative situation but turning it positive. Other than that, just don't forget to fill out your check-in form, go through, and we'll kind of go from there. Hope you're having a great rest of your day.